So hello, my name is Ryan, and you may not be able to tell it from my appearance because I look like a homeless person. But I've accomplished a lot, humbly, with a lot of focus and understanding and studying. And you might know that I sound weird right now. I have a tincture under my tongue. And what is a tincture? Tincture, also known as a decoction, is a cold steeped formulation of water, ground herbs to a certain milligram capacity, and a little bit of vegetable glycerin can form what is known as the tincture. It's a highly concentrated form of the herb that's made from the steeping process for about a month and a half. I'm currently making two right now. They're called lemon balm and pine needles. They have very special properties, such as nutrients, minerals, and other certain ingredients that induce healing by the natural properties of the plant. Now, every herb, every different type of herb, has nutrients and minerals, has its own profile of all that are all unique to the herb. Some, like nutrients, exist in other herbs. Same thing with minerals. There are a lot of minerals. Now, this is an example of some of the tinctures that I have at my disposal on a daily basis. Now, the reason I talk about nutrients and minerals is because all of these nutrients and minerals treat different conditions in the body, such as this one. This is called Japanese knotweed. What's so special about these particular nutrients and minerals is that it contains something called resveratrol. Now, resveratrol, as well as being a very beneficial nutrient that can be used to better the heart function and just overall general body function, it's an excellent anti-inflammatory. It can also be a potential treatment for AGS. The reason I bring this up is because this is not the only one that can be a treatment for AGS. Astragalus supports the immune system. It's also slightly an anti-inflammatory, so in that it has like function. It also helps build the immune system and support the cell wall endothelial function, as well as potentially improving arterial health within about 6 months of taking it. Turmeric, another wonderful anti-inflammatory, which pairs well with ginger. Why these are so special is because these are not only just anti-inflammatories that have their own properties. Ginger has gingerol, and turmeric has something called CoQ10, which also supports heart function, improves overall health. But even more so, they're anti-heavy metals. This means that they remove harmful heavy metals from the body, especially when you combine with something like peanuts, if you're able to have them without an allergy. Because peanuts have copper, which is a beneficial heavy metal. Because copper removes other heavy metals like aluminum, lead, cadmium. Aluminum being the one that's most responsible for something known as Alzheimer's or dementia. It also causes stuff like depression, anxiety. It works especially well when it's combined with cilantro, which is also a wonderful anti-heavy metal, as well as being a blood thinner. So this can improve overall health just in itself. But it also, over time, in low doses to moderate doses, improves heart health. And what I'm getting at is taking one herb only does so much. That's why people don't usually see the benefits of these things. But when you take multiple herbs that are of like function, or functions that work in conjunction with what you have going on in your body, well, then you have a recipe for win. Which leads me into my journey. 5 years ago, I had severe heart failure. After having my first heart attack, I had a 5% ejection fraction. After generally just not taking care of my body, as well as being in a toxic relationship with a woman who cheated on me 6 times. And that's where I'll leave it. Just out of the, respect for the accused. I would, long story short, go on to having 3 more heart attacks by the time I truly got my life working in overdrive. It took some time, took some effort, took some survival skills, but I managed to reverse 2 stages of heart failure without medicinal intervention. And I'm only saying this in return because although there are some benefits to medicine, it causes more than it cures. Trust me, I was on 11 different heart medications, all of which were making me sicker. I was walking with a cane 5 years ago, barely able to walk 10 feet without being exhausted and breathless. And this was after having medical intervention from a hospital, which, contrary to popular belief, depending on what hospital you go to, if it's a public hospital, it's a very dangerous place to be, because doctors are just going off of textbooks that are written by the richest men in America. It's not based in fact, it's based in malicious opinion, but not malicious from me. malicious from the people that run these institutions. Along my journey, I not only managed to cure two stages of my heart failure, but I also managed to reverse male pattern baldness, erectile dysfunction, TMI, which was caused by the 11 medications that I was on from doctors like cardiologists, who would just walk into the room during visits, sit down, ask me one question, and then leave. One day I asked my doctor, just for prosperity, is there going to be any more benefit from these medicines that I had been on for about a year? I asked him this. He said no. So I started to ask myself, why am I on these medications? And I quickly came to the realization upon seeing some spiritual symbolism in my life on the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. I don't use it much anymore, but this is basically what got my foot in the door. I don't mean to rhyme, but don't worry, I'm sure. Why do I bring this up? Why do I bring up AGS? Why do I bring up any other disease that I've been through myself? Because these aren't permanent things. We've just been taught to rely on medications that don't do anything. So we think that once we're dead, we're dead. But there are potentials for people that even have the worst of cancers to make a full recovery. And it's by turning to something that has been here all along, even before the inception of modern doctors. All of this, it may seem like a mess, but if on closer inspection, you see a wide array of treatments for everything that is heart failure. From simple herbal intervention of some expensive and some cheap, like flaxseed oil, which in some circles, like the country of Turkey, is known to be the cure for everything except death. That's what the locals say. Ginkgo biloba, which can also support the immune system, but it's first and foremost a vasodilator, which means it dilates blood vessels. So upon using something like this with something else that's also a vasodilator, like ginseng or coco meca, also known as sarsaparilla, can stimulate and open up those little blood vessels that aren't the arteries. And gotu kola, which can stimulate blood flow and oxygenation of the lower abdomen and some parts of the upper abdomen. Or Schisandra, specifically the berry, can stimulate blood flow and support for the liver, which ultimately brings me to one of the most beneficial herbs known to mankind, milk thistle. This can stimulate regeneration in the liver, improve kidney health, as well as overall organ function, and it even acts as a slight heavy metal. Which brings me on to the next beneficial herb, not only for my condition, but for most. For people that suffer from an inability to eat certain kinds of foods, or having pain upon after eating shortly or soon after. Fennel seed can support and aid the digestion system, along with one that we mentioned earlier, ginger, as well as a small degree of motherwort, which acts to essentially lower the heart rate and even stimulate digestion. And if one were to take this with chamomile, the effects are even more greatly affected. That just sounded weird, the way that I worded it. Because chamomile is essentially a nervous system depressant to a small degree, and it also works by stimulating the digestive system, and supporting it, and supporting the walls of your inner intestines. It can even stimulate movement to make you feel better as well, essentially spreading out the stool. There's a couple more that I would like to say just for the immediate purpose. Thyme. I've got holy basil. So thyme has something called carvacol and thymol, which, if you've noticed, thyme sounds like thymol. It's a nutrient that's just present in thyme. Kind of sounds funny saying that, when this is an herb that essentially makes your entire bodily system timeless. It slows aging, promotes a healthier immune system, which is wonderful for a lot of different conditions. It should be handled with care, though, taken on the lower side, lower dosages, which I would say most of these would be of that prerogative. It also supports anti-inflammation. Wonderful when combined with holy basil. Now, holy basil is also an anti-inflammatory. Contains various nutrients and minerals. Also supports the immune system. These two pair together like lamb and tuna fish.
Together like lamb and tuna fish.
Lamb and tuna fish?
Maybe like spaghetti and meatball?
I truly hope that this video has opened your mind to a world of possibilities that maybe you've already been aware of, and if not, something that you can explore. And might I suggest starting with the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies, or using AI at your disposal with a little common sense and a little logic and understanding and knowledge, which is the same place that I started. Which brings me back to where I began,